I agree with you that the dynamics are vital to survival and continuation. This capacity to change and adapt with respect to your environment. Sorry here, I wish I didn't have to read this, but I just lost from it. But I hope you realize that even within the context variables, the things that can change there, even within any kind of environmental setup, there are bounds and limits that are inherent. Just physics itself has inherent things. You look at probability clouds of electrons. An electron can be virtually an infinite number of places within that probability cloud. So there's a wide range within which one could chart out a wide and seamlessly or effectively infinite paths of life, of change, of evolution and adaptation. But none of this means that any of these numberless paths can or will leave the bounds of probability. Just as there's probably an infinite, within the context of the confines of a probability cloud for atoms, the electron, if it's isolated, isn't going to leave that probability cloud. And in life as we know it, the raw mechanics of physics create these boundaries, and there's certainly a wide amount of breadth. If we're talking about RNA and DNA with manifestations, it's astounding when you think about diversity in life, and how much of a DNA and RNA based world, even though you've got this strict pattern of determining what will and will not constitute an organism, yet you have this wide range of diversity in life. But it's clear that with all this diversity, there's confines and to what variables there are and aren't, and what is doable and what is replicable. And so I've read theories as to how we reached a state on Earth with amino acids and proteins and RNA and DNA, and how they could have come into be. And some theories about this, bring up the possibility that it was born out of remnants of something that simply would not be viable today, of a different construct that created these remnants, but didn't necessarily have a lot of similarity to present-day structure. And it may be possible that life was born out of something utterly alien and disconnected from the mechanics of life on Earth now, but we've really yet to see any evidence of such. Now, you may ask, why is any of this relevant to what we're discussing? And it's because what makes it relevant is the foundation of a template, of the concept of a template. And to give an added idea of what I'm talking about, I'm going to reference what are called generative systems. Now, in referencing generative systems, I'm going to refer you to a link that I'll be putting up about a talk that you can also go to for TV. For also has stuff online. The one on YouTube should be sufficient, but it is an interesting topic, especially if you're into simulation gaming like I am. But it's a talk given by Will Wright and Brian Eno. Will Wright is the creator of SimCity and The Sims, currently developing Spore, and Brian Eno has done a lot of stuff in ambient music and various things like that. But generative systems in programming have been long kind of used in lots in graphical effects, and presently with video games like Spore coming out, it seems like there's a kind of renaissance around generative systems. And what happens with these generative systems is they enable things to be produced procedurally. That is, you can take a foundational set of rules and run a very small and simple instructions into the rule set, or the procedural or algorithmic pattern, and these very small pieces then get amplified. They just blow up as far as what they can manifest. And this makes it so that you can have really small inputs or these virtual seeds, and they can produce displays and products and manifestations that are just, compared to their smallness, they are just incredible. But if you see the video, it has more visual demonstrations. Again, a lot of the terms I use aren't stuff we use every day, and so if that's alien to you, I suggest going and see the video. I believe it's well worth your time to see what I'm talking about there. And Will Wright and Brian Eno do a far better job with their graphical representations than I can right here. So if you've watched those vids, now go ahead and pause it, come back, whatever you want to do. I'm going to move on to the connection of this concept of patterns and archetypes. So now, on the patterns and archetypes theme, in this I submit to you that RNA and DNA and amino acids, in the context of biology, and proteins, everything associated with that, with the basics of biology, the machinations, everything around them, around which life moves. It would be really hard to have life, or something you could consider life, at least in terms that we can presently conceive of and construct and simulate, as far as what we consider life, outside of these confines. It would be rather impossible to create. And in terms of life, I don't mean simply something that mimics some of the attributes of intelligence, but mimics the attributes of life, being able to consistently and repetitively reproduce itself. Now, let's see. Sorry. Now, if we then turn from the idea of genetics and life and go into mimetics, you look at what are the equivalents in mimetics to RNA and DNA and these components, these basic components of biology and life, in human transmission, in the transmission of human constructs, excuse me. What is the foundation by which we humans pass on their humanity? And to what degree can the foundations of this be changed, the structure of this be changed? And can it at its foundation actually be changed? If you can't change the fundamentals of DNA replication, and the nature of protein interactions, and the way amino acids and everything goes together, and then if you're going to do similar things to mimetic transmission, to society's transmission, is it any more viable ultimately once everything's played out? Now, going here, it's possible at some point we could find some molecular structure that instead of a double helix has some perhaps dendroidal or any other structure possibly that enables it to replicate itself, or enables it to construct an equivalent to our RNA strands. But if such were possible, how much time would you spend trying to make it viable if you've never seen it, or couldn't come up with any theoretical way in which it would be a viable functioning system? Would it be wise to make an entirely new base for which an entirely new kind of life, which you had no reason previously for even in a theoretical way imagining how it would work, let alone what it would consist of? It's completely beyond the conception of anyone as far as actually working, outside of our imagination from movies, books, and all manner of fiction. What would an endeavor like that be worth ultimately, if you really had no base to start from? And I hope that this can